By the end of this lesson, you will be able to subtract fractions. Let us begin our discussion in subtracting fractions having like denominators. They are also called similar fractions. Let's take example number 1. We have 7 over 10 minus 3 over 10. Since these two fractions are similar fractions, we can directly subtract them. Just subtract their numerator, so we have 7 minus 3, that is 4, over the common denominator 10. But 4 and 10 have common factor which is 2, so we can still simplify 4 over 10. So we have 4 divided by 2 and 10 divided by 2. So the result will be 4 divided by 2 is 2 over 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the final answer for this is 2 over 5. Next, we have example number 2. We have 15 over 4 minus 3 over 4. And again, these two fractions are similar fractions because they have the same denominator, and so we can subtract directly their numerators. So we have 15 minus 3, that gives us 12, over the common denominator is 4. And since we know that 12 over 4 or 12 divided by 4 is 3, so the final answer is 3. Next, example number 3. We have 18 over 5 minus 4 over 5. And again, since these two fractions are similar fractions, then we can subtract them directly just like this. We have 18 minus 4 is 14 over the common denominator which is 5. And since 14 over 5 is an improper fraction, we can still simplify them further into a mixed number. So that is by means of asking yourself, ilang 5 or how many 5s are there in 14? Ilang 5 nga ba meron sa 14? Probably your answer is 2. And then 2 times 5 is 10. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 14? 4 na lang. So the numerator of our fraction part is 4 over the denominator must be the denominator of the mixed, of the improper fraction we are trying to simplify. So the final answer is 2 and 4 over 5. That's it. That is for similar fractions. Okay, let's try to proceed to subtracting fractions with unlike denominators or the so-called dissimilar fractions. Okay, let's take example number 4. We have 7 over 8 minus 1/4. Obviously, the denominators of these two fractions are different, and so we can consider them dissimilar fraction. And subtracting dissimilar fractions cannot be done directly. So ano gagawin natin? It's either we are going to find the least common denominator by finding the LCM, or we may also apply the the butterfly method. Okay, so just like this, let us use the butterfly method for easy process. We have 7 times 4 is 28 minus 1 times 8 is 8 over the product of the two denominators 8 and 4 which is 32. And then simplify natin, 28 minus 8 is 20 over the common denominator is 32. And as we can notice, 20 and 32 or 20 over 32 can still be simplified. So divide them by their greatest common factor which is 4 in this situation. So 20 divided by 4 and 32 divided by 4, that will give us 20 by 4 20 divided by 4 is 5 over 32 divided by 4 is 8. And since 5 and 8 have no common factor, so this is our final answer. Okay, next example number 4. We have number 5. We have 5 over 3 minus 2 over 6. Okay, so as we notice, they are dissimilar fractions, but actually we can do manipulations before performing anything else. Pwede naman natin itong isimplify si 2 over 6. That will become 1 over 3. Magiging similar na sila. But as if hindi natin alam na isimplify muna yung given natin before we do anything. So let's consider that the two fractions are dissimilar fractions. So we are going to use the butterfly method in this situation. So we have 10 times 6, that will give us 60, minus 2 times 3 is 6, over the product of the two denominators, 3 and 6 is 18. And so we can now simplify 60 minus 6, that will give us 54, over the common denominator now is 18. And dividing 54 by 18 gives us a quotient of 3. So the final answer is 3. Okay, next, number 6. We have 13 over 5 minus 1 half. Okay, these two fractions are dissimilar fractions, and so we cannot subtract them directly. And so we will use the butterfly method. So multiply natin, 13 times 2 will give us 26. And also, we have 1 times 5 will give us 5. And then, the common denominator will be the product of the two denominators, which are 5 and 2. So that will be 10. And then 26 minus 5 will give us 21 over the common denominator, 10. And by observation, 21 over 10 is an improper fraction, although our answer can be 21 over 10, but we can still rewrite that in the form of a mixed number. So tanungin nyo lang sarili nyo, ilang 10 meron sa 21? Of course, your answer is 2. And then 2 times 10 is 20. Ilan na lang ang kulang para maging 21 yung 20? 1 na lang. So this will be 1 over 10. That 10 is taken from the denominator of the improper fraction we are simplifying. Okay, so the final answer is 2 and 1 over 10. Next, we have another situation. Subtracting fraction from a whole number. So ibig sabihin mula ang whole number ay babawasan ng isang fraction. Example number 7 will illustrate that. We have 1 minus 1/4. Alam naman natin na yung sagot, 1 minus 1/4, the answer is 3/4. And for the illustration of the process, let's do this. So we have this is equal to, what will happen? Just multiply the denominator of the fraction to the whole number to the whole number part. I mean, to the whole number na nababawasan natin ng fraction. So this is 4 times 1, that will give us 4, minus the numerator of the fraction, which is 1, over the denominator of the given fraction, that is 4. And then actually we also do butterfly method, kaya lang hindi na natin pinakita yung denominator of this 1. But again, if you are going to express 1 as 1 over 1, we can still use the butterfly method. Ito hindi ko na nga lang ipinakita. So just multiply the denominator by the whole number, and that will be the numerator of the equivalent fraction. So 4 minus 1, it becomes 3. And the common denominator is 4. And that is our final answer. Okay, to make it clearer, let us have another example. We have example number 8. 7 minus 3/4. Okay, so 7 is a whole number minus a fraction. So what will we do? Again, we are going to multiply the denominator to the given whole number. So 4 times 7, that will give us 28. Minus the numerator of the fraction, which is 3, over the denominator of the given fraction, which is 4. And so we have now 28 minus 3, that will give us 25, over the common denominator, which is 4. And then 25 over 4 is an improper fraction. So again, we can still write that into a mixed number. Tanungin mo sarili mo, ilang 4 meron sa 25? The answer is 6, because 6 times 4 is 24. Ngayon, if 6 times 4 is 24, ilan na lang ang kulang para maging 25? Of course, 1 na lang. So 1 is the numerator of the fraction part over 4, which is also the denominator of 25 over 4. And so our final answer is 6 and 1/4. Okay, number 9. We have 5 minus 8 over 3. Okay, so the same process, multiplied our denominator to the whole number. So 3 times 5 is 15, minus the numerator of our fraction, the subtrahend, we have 8, over the denominator of the subtrahend, we have 3. After doing that, simplify natin. We have 15 minus 8 is 7 over the common denominator is 3. And since again this is an improper fraction, we may still simplify that into a mixed number or just convert into a mixed number, because 7 over 3, if we are going to consider the relationship of 7 and 3, they are relatively prime. And so we can consider this in simplest form, pero sometimes we need to convert this improper fraction into its equivalent mixed number. So that is equal to, ilang 3 meron sa 7? Of course, there are 2, because 2 times 3 is 6. So kung 2 times 3 is 6, ilan na lang kulang para maging 7? 1 na lang. So the numerator of the fraction part is 1 over 3, which is also the denominator of the given improper fraction we are simplifying. So the final answer is 2 and 1/3. And that's it. Next example or next situation, we have subtracting fraction by a whole number. So pinagbaligtad natin. Fraction babawasan ng whole number. Remember, I am emphasizing this because subtraction has no commutative property. Bawal magkapalit-palit. Unlike in addition, pwedeng magkapalit yung addends natin. But in subtraction, hindi pwedeng magkapalit ang minuend and subtrahend. And that is why in every case, in every situation, I am emphasizing and I am giving you a couple of examples. Okay, so we have example number 10. A fraction 14 over 5 minus 2, or to be deducted by 2. And that is equal to, what are we going to do? Just copy the numerator of our first fraction, that is 14, minus the product of the denominator and the whole number na nagso-subtract dito sa first fraction natin. So that is 5 times 2, and that is 10, over the denominator of the given fraction, which is 5. Okay, so 14 minus 10 gives us 4, over the common denominator is 5. And so that is the final answer. Next, example number 11. 17 over 3, this fraction will be deducted by a whole number 4. And so we will do the same. Copy the numerator of our fraction to be subtracted. We have 17 minus the product of the denominator of the fraction we are subtracting and then the whole number na magsasubtract. So 3 times 4 is 12. And over the denominator of our fraction is 3. And so we have 17 minus 12, that will give us 5 over the common denominator 3. And then, ilang 3 meron sa 5? That is 1. And then 1 times 3 is 3. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 5? 2 na lang. So that is 2 over 3. Okay, I hope you can still remember how we manipulate 5 over 3 or improper fractions, how we manipulate improper fractions to convert them into their equivalent mixed number. Okay, so let's proceed to another situation. Subtracting fraction from a mixed number. This time, mixed number will be subtracted by a fraction. Okay, example number 12 will help us understand that. So we have 2 and 4 over 5 minus 8 over 5. Again, this is a mixed number to be subtracted by a fraction 8 over 5. So what are we going to do? Okay, here is the situation. There are times that we may encounter borrowing. Even from the whole number, nagbaborrow tayo sometimes. Okay, in fraction, if we are going to do borrowing, medyo mahirap yun. Kasi what we are going to borrow is in a form of fraction also. So I decided instead of using the borrowing method, gagamit na lang tayo ng ganitong approach. Okay, look at this. So to avoid borrowing, we are going to convert mixed number into their equivalent improper fraction. So just like this, 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4 is 14. So that is 14 over 5. Okay, minus the subtrahend fraction is 8 over 5. So just copy 8 over 5. And since 14 over 5 and 8 over 5 are similar fractions, we can now subtract them directly. So just subtract the numerator just like this. 14 minus 8 is 6 over the common denominator is 5. And the result is an improper fraction, so we may simplify that into a mixed number. So tanungin natin sarili natin, ilang 5 meron sa 6? Ang sagot ay 1. 1 times 5 is 5. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 6? 1 na lang. And so 1 is the numerator of the fraction part over 5. So the final answer is 1 and 1 over 5. Okay? Next, we have another mixed number to be deducted by a fraction. So again, to avoid borrowing of fractions, what we need to do is to convert the given mixed number into its equivalent improper fraction. So this will give us 8 times 2 is 16 plus 5 is 21. So this is 21 over the denominator here is 8. So this must be over 8. Minus our subtrahend 3/4, copy lang natin, minus 3/4. And then 21 over 8 and 3/4 are dissimilar fractions, so we cannot subtract them directly. So we are going to apply the butterfly method. So cross multiply natin just like this. We have 21 times 4, that gives us 84 minus. Okay, so we are going to put minus here because our operation is subtraction. So minus the product of 3 and 8, we have 24 over the product of the two denominators, 8 and 4 is 32. So this will be equal to 84 minus 24 is 60 over the common denominator is 32. And since 60 and 32 have common factor which is 4, so to simplify them, we are going to divide each of them by 4. So 60 divided by 4 and 32 divided by 4 as well. And that is equal to, what is the quotient of 60 when divided by 4? That is 15 over 32 divided by 4 is 8. And our answer, 15 over 8, can still be written into its equivalent mixed number. So tanungin mo lang sarili mo, ilang 8 meron sa 15? That is 1. Ilan na lang kulang? Okay, 1 times 8 is 8. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 15? That is 7 na lang. So 7 over 8. And finally, our answer is 1 and 7 over 8. As easy as that. Okay, again, I use this method to avoid borrowing of fractions from another fraction. Okay, so you can also use that borrowing method. It's up to you kung anong madali para sa inyo. Okay, let's take example number. I think nagkamali ako ng numbering. It must be example number 14. Okay, so this must be example number 14. So we have 15 over 8 minus 1 and 1 over 8. Okay, this time, kabaligtaran naman. Subtracting fraction by a mixed number. A fraction will be deducted by a mixed number. So how are we going to do that? Okay, the same process. So we have 15 over 8 minus 1 and 1 8. Okay, so that is equal to, just copy the given fraction, 15 over 8, and then let us convert this mixed number into its equivalent improper fraction. So 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So this is 9 over 8. And then, since 15 over 8 and 9 over 8 are similar fractions, we can subtract them directly. So that is equal to 15 minus 9 is 6 over the common denominator is 8. And as we observe, 6 and 8 have common factor which is 2. So to simplify them, divide each of them by 2, divide by 2. And so we will get the quotient of 6 divided by 2 is 3 over the quotient of 8 and 2 is 4. So the final answer is 3/4. As easy as that. Okay, next, let's take example number 14. We have 9 over, supposed to be 15 na to eh. Nagkamali lang ako ng numbering. Sorry for that. So we have 9 over 2 minus 3 and 1/4. And again, this is fraction minus a mixed number. And to avoid borrowing of another fractions, we are going to convert the mixed number into its equivalent improper fraction. So this is just copy 9 over 2 minus the equivalent improper fraction of 3 and 1/4 will be ganito. We have 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. So this is 13 over the denominator is 4. So the denominator also here should be 4. And then they are dissimilar fractions. So what we need to do is to use our butterfly method. Okay, so this is 9 times 4 is 36 minus 2 times 13 or 13 times 2 is 26 over 2 times 4 is 8. And then we can now simplify 36 minus 26, that is 10, over the common denominator is 8, and we can observe that 10 and 8 have common factor which is 2. So to simplify 10 over 8, divide them by their common factor which is 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5 over 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 5 over 4 is again an improper fraction, and we may simplify that or we may rewrite that improper fraction into 1 and 1/4. 1 and 1/4. So it's up to the instruction of your teacher whether he or she will accept your answer in improper fraction as long as that improper fraction is, or the numerator and the denominators are relatively prime numbers. Okay? Sometimes kasi may situation that we don't need to simplify improper fractions as long as the numerator and denominator are relatively prime numbers. So for this, since nasa basic math pa tayo, we can still rewrite any improper fraction into their equivalent mixed number. Okay? Practice na rin to ng skills nyo para ma-enhance. Okay, next example or next situation. Subtracting mixed number by a mixed number. This time, mixed number will be subtracted by another mixed number. So how are we going to do that? So we have 2 and 5 over 6 minus 1 and 2 over 3. You know what? There are situations that subtracting mixed number by another mixed number needs borrowing of fractions. So again, to avoid borrowing of fractions, what we are going to do is to convert each mixed number into its equivalent improper fraction. But the disadvantage of doing this is we can encounter bigger number. So ang challenging part nito ay sa pagsisimplify ng fraction or ng result natin. Pero at least we avoid borrowing of another fraction. Okay, so let's try this one. So 6 times 2 is 12 plus 5 is 17. So this is 17 over 6 minus this one naman. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. So this is 5 over 3. And the two fractions, 17 over 6 and 5 over 3 are dissimilar fractions. So we are going to use the butterfly method. So this will give us the product of 17 and 3 is 51 minus the product of 5 and 6 is 30 over the product of the two denominators 6 and 3, we have 18. And so we can now simplify 51 minus 30 is 21 over the common denominator is 18. And obviously 21 and 18 have common factor which is 3. So divide 21 by 3 and divide also 18 by 3. And the result, 21 divided by 3 is 7 over 18 divided by 3 is 6. Let us convert 7 over 6 into its equivalent mixed number. So we have ilang 6 meron 7, that is 1. 1 times 6 is 6. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 7? 1 na lang. So that is 1 over 6. And this is our final answer, 1 and 1 over 6 without any borrowing method. Or yes, naiwasan nating mag-borrow ng another fraction, and we found we were able to compute or yes, to find the difference without borrowing. Okay? So another given for mixed number subtracted by another mixed number. So 3 and 2/5 minus 2 and 4/5. And that is equal to 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2, that is 17. Over the denominator here is 5, so this is over 5 minus here we have 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4, that is 14 over, this is 5, so it must also be 5. And we have our similar fraction, 17 over 5 minus 14 over 5, so we can subtract directly their numerators. So 17 minus 14 is 3 over the common denominator is 5. So the final answer is 3 over 5. Next, another example for subtracting mixed number by another mixed number. So we have example number 17, 6 and 1/2 minus 1 and 2/4. So that is equal to, convert 6 and 1/2 into its equivalent improper fraction. So that is 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1, that is 13 over, the denominator is 2. Minus 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 over 4. And then, the similar fraction sila, so we can apply the butterfly method. So that is 13 times 4 gives us 52 minus 6 times 2 is 12 over 2 times 4 is 8. That is equal to 52 minus 12 is 40 over the common denominator is 8. So 40 over 8 or 40 divided by 8 gives us 5. So the final answer is 5. Okay, next, another situation. Subtracting mixed number from a whole number. Okay, so whole number, babawasan ng mixed number. Okay, this time magkakaroon tayo ng borrowing. But to avoid borrowing of another fraction, what we are going to do is to convert our mixed number into equivalent improper fraction. So we have 7 minus 3 and 2/5. That will be, just copy the whole number minus the equivalent improper fraction of 3 and 2/5 is 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. So that is 17 over 5. That is equal to, okay, so this time we are going to apply our knowledge of subtracting a whole number by a fraction. So what are we going to do? Multiply lang natin yung denominator to the whole number. So that is 5 times 7 gives us 35 minus the numerator of the fraction, that is 17, over the denominator of our fraction, which is the subtrahend this time. So that is over 5. And that is equal to 35 minus 17 is 18 over 5. And again, improper fraction to, we may simplify that or we may rewrite that into its equivalent mixed number. So this is equal to, ilang 5 meron sa 18? Your answer must be 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 18? 3 na lang. So that is 3 over, the denominator here is 5, so it must be 5. So the final answer is 3 and 3 over 5. That's it. Next, we have another whole number minus a mixed number. So again, kung hindi natin gagamitin yung ganitong method, we cannot avoid borrowing fractions from another fraction. Medyo komplikado yung ganun para sa ibang mga estudyante. Kasi I tried this when we have our remediation. Mas nalilito sila sa borrowing of fractions. Okay, let's try this one. Baka effective din sa inyo. Okay, so we have 4, just copy the whole number, minus the equivalent improper fraction of this mixed number 2 and 1/2. So that is 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1, that is 5 over, this is 2, so it must be 2. And that is equal to, okay, so whole number minus a fraction. So what we need to do is to multiply the denominator of the fraction times the whole number. So that is 2 times 4 is 8 minus the numerator here is 5 over the denominator is 2. And then that will give us 8 minus 5 is 3 over 2. And again, 3 over 2 is an improper fraction. We can simplify that or we can rewrite that into its equivalent mixed number. So ilang 2 meron sa 3? Obviously, that is 1. And then 1 times 2 is 2. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 3? 1 na lang. So this is 1 over 2. So the final answer is 1 and 1/2. Okay? Next, another possible situation that you can encounter in subtraction of or subtracting fractions. So subtracting mixed number by a whole number. So this time, yung mixed number ay sasubtrakan or babawasan ng whole number. Just like this. We have example number 20, 3 and 2/5 minus 2. So, there is an easy way to do that. Ganito, pwede nating i-regroup. Subtract the whole number part of the mixed number by the whole number of the subtrahend. So, that is 3 minus 2. So, parenthesis natin, plus the fraction part of the mixed number, that is 2/5. And since alam naman natin that 3 minus 2 is 1, so this is 1 plus the fraction part 2/5, that is equal to 1 plus 2/5 is 1 and 2/5. Okay, almost the same with the approach we used in addition of fractions. Kaya lang, magiging inconsistent tayo kapag ka papalit-palit tayo ng approach, kasi if this approach will be used, paano yan kapag ka whole number minus mixed number tayo? Magkakaroon tayo ng borrowing of fractions. So to avoid that, pwede pa rin natin gamitin yung approach natin kanina. Okay, so let us have the alternative solution. We have 3 and 2/5 minus 2. So what are we going to do is to convert first this mixed number into improper fraction. So 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. Over the denominator here is 5, so it must be 5. Minus the whole number, which is the subtrahend, that is 2. So after doing that, we may now apply the method of subtracting a fraction by a whole number. So multiply, just copy the numerator here, that is 17, minus the product of the denominator and the whole number, which is the subtrahend. So 5 times 2 is 10. So that is 17 minus 10 over the denominator here is 5. So just bring down 5. And then we can do now 17 minus 10 is 7 over the common denominator is 5. And again, we can rewrite 7 over 5 into mixed number. So this is ilang 5 meron sa 7? 1. 1 times 5 is 5. Ilan na lang kulang para maging 7? 2 na lang over 5. So this is now the final answer. Take note that 1 and 2/5 is the same also with the answer from our previous solution. So itong approach na nasa left side, kapag kasi ito yung ginamit natin, what if nagkabaligtad? From mixed number minus whole number, tapos ginawang whole number minus mixed number, probably makaka-encounter tayo ng borrowing of fraction. So to avoid the borrowing of fraction, let's now use this method. Although the challenge of using this method is we may encounter bigger numbers, but if you have the skill in simplifying fractions, there will be no problem about that. Okay? So I hope you learned something from this lesson, and to try your understanding, you may answer this set of set of problems. Just to know kung kaya nyo nang mag-perform ng subtraction of fractions. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening and have a nice day.